Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're hitting a significant milestone. We've completed our deep dive into world building, and now we're ready to elevate your futures practice to the next level. If you've been with us through the journey so far, you've built an impressive foundation. You understand super shifts, you've explored the transform model, and you've learned how to construct future worlds that feel vivid and strategically valuable. But there's a difference between knowing about foresight and truly mastering it, between having tools and wielding them with confidence and skill. That's what today is all about, moving from learning to mastery. We're going to explore the three distinct levels of foresight fluency and provide a clear pathway for advancing from foundational knowledge to strategic action. By the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly where you are in your foresight journey and what specific steps you need to take to elevate your practice. Let's dive in. The three levels of foresight fluency. When we look at how people develop mastery in futures thinking, we typically see three distinct stages of development. Understanding these stages helps you identify where you are and what you need to focus on next. The first level is what I call foundational awareness. At this stage, you're building your knowledge base, learning key concepts, understanding frameworks, and developing basic foresight literacy. You recognize terms like weak signals, scenarios, and super shifts trademark. You can spot major trends in your industry, and you understand why thinking about the future matters. If you're at this level, you might find yourself frequently having aha moments, as foresight concepts help you make sense of changes you're seeing around you. You're probably consuming content like this podcast, reading books about the future, and becoming more conscious of how rapidly the world is changing. The second level is applied integration. This is where foresight moves from something you know about to something you actively practice. You're not just aware of concepts like scanning and scenario building, you're applying them regularly. You've developed habits that integrate futures thinking into your day-to-day work and decision-making. At this level, you naturally question assumptions about the future. When someone says, "This is obviously where things are headed," your first thought is, "But what if it's not?" You no longer take linear projections at face value. You look for systems and connections rather than isolated trends. And most importantly, you're consistently using foresight tools and methods as part of your approach to challenges and opportunities. The third and highest level is strategic transformation. At this stage, foresight isn't just a personal practice. It's a strategic capability that you leverage to create change. You don't just adapt to the future, you actively work to shape it. You identify strategic opportunities that others miss because you can connect dots and see patterns that aren't obvious to those without your foresight fluency. At the strategic transformation level, you're able to translate insights about the future into innovative strategies, products, or initiatives. You can lead others through uncertainty, helping them see possibilities rather than just threats. You're able to navigate complexity with confidence because you've developed a rich, textured understanding of the forces shaping change. Now, here's the important thing to understand. These levels aren't about intelligence or talent. They're about practice, habits, and mindset. Everyone starts at foundational awareness, and with consistent effort, anyone can progress through these stages. The question is, where are you on this journey, and what will help you advance to the next level? Assessing your current level of foresight fluency. Take a moment to reflect honestly on your current practice. Here are some questions that might help you identify where you are. If you're still building foundational awareness, you might find that you understand foresight concepts intellectually, but you don't consistently apply them. You spot trends after they're widely discussed, but rarely identify weak signals early. You find yourself surprised by changes that, in retrospect, had clear warning signs. You want to practice futures thinking, but it hasn't become a regular habit. If you've reached applied integration, you likely have regular practices for scanning and tracking emerging changes. Naturally consider multiple futures rather than assuming a single outcome. Use foresight tools like scenario planning to inform your decision-making. Find yourself spotting opportunities or risks before others in your organization. And if you're operating at the strategic transformation level, you probably lead initiatives that reshape your organization or industry based on future insights. Help others develop their foresight capabilities through mentoring or facilitation. Can translate complex future possibilities into clear, compelling strategies. Are recognized by others as someone who sees around corners. Remember, this isn't about judging yourself. It's about accurately assessing where you are so you can focus on the right development areas. Most people who are serious about foresight operate somewhere between foundational awareness and applied integration. Strategic transformation represents a level of mastery that takes years of dedicated practice to achieve. So the real question is, what specific practices will help you move to the next level? Regardless of where you are in your journey, there are concrete practices that will help you build your foresight muscle. Let me share some of the most effective approaches I've seen work for individuals and organizations. For those building foundational awareness, if you're working to solidify your foundation, focus on these practices. 1. Create a structured scanning routine. Set aside dedicated time each week to look for weak signals and emerging trends. This doesn't have to be extensive. Even 20 to 30 minutes of intentional scanning can make a difference. The key is consistency. Look beyond your normal information sources. If you typically follow business news, explore scientific research. If you're tech-focused, look at social or cultural shifts. It's at these intersections that the most interesting signals often emerge. 2. Start a signals journal. Document what you're noticing in a dedicated notebook or digital file. For each observation, note what caught your attention, why it might matter, and what it could mean for the future. Over time, this creates a rich resource that helps you spot patterns and connections. 3. Find a foresight buddy. Learning is easier with a partner. Find someone who's also interested in futures thinking and commit to regular conversations about what you're noticing and learning. These discussions will reinforce your understanding and expose you to perspectives you might miss on your own. Practice the what if game. When you encounter a trend or new development, make it a habit to ask, what if this continues? What if it accelerates? What if it reverses? This simple practice builds your ability to think in multiple futures rather than assuming a single outcome. For those working on applied integration, if you're looking to more deeply integrate foresight into your work and life, consider these practices. 1. Develop a personal foresight system. Move beyond ad hoc scanning to create a structured system for identifying, tracking, and making sense of change. This might include dedicated tools, specific information sources, and regular routines for reviewing and updating your insights. 2. Conduct regular assumption audits. Every quarter, take time to identify and challenge the assumptions you're making about the future. What are you taking for granted? What seems obvious that might actually be uncertain? These audits help you avoid blind spots and keep your thinking fresh. 3. Use scenarios in your decision-making. Before making significant decisions, take time to consider how different future scenarios might affect the outcome. This doesn't have to be elaborate. Even quickly considering 2 to 3 different possibilities can dramatically improve your decision quality. 4. Teach others basic foresight practices. One of the best ways to deepen your own understanding is to help others develop theirs. Look for opportunities to share foresight concepts and tools with colleagues, friends, or family members. The act of teaching forces greater clarity in your own thinking. For those pursuing strategic transformation, if you're working to leverage foresight as a strategic capability, focus on 1. Identify strategic leverage points. Look for areas where small interventions today could create outsized impacts tomorrow. These are the places where foresight can be most powerfully applied to shape the future rather than just prepare for it. 2. Develop organizational foresight capacity. Move beyond personal practice to embed foresight throughout your organization or community. Create systems, processes, and culture that make futures thinking a shared capability rather than just an individual skill. 3. Connect foresight to core strategy. Ensure that insights about the future directly inform your most important strategic decisions. Create explicit links between your scanning, scenario work, and strategic planning processes. 4. Build multidisciplinary foresight networks. The most powerful insights often emerge at the intersection of different domains. Cultivate relationships with people from diverse fields, technologists, artists, scientists, sociologists, who can help you see the future from multiple perspectives. The mindset shift, from consumer to creator. As you advance your foresight practice, one of the most important transitions is moving from being a consumer of futures content to becoming a creator of futures thinking. In the early stages, it's natural to rely heavily on experts, books, and resources like this podcast. You're building your knowledge base, learning the terminology, and developing your understanding. But at some point, to truly advance, you need to start generating your own insights, creating your own scenarios, and developing your unique perspective. This shift isn't always comfortable. There's safety in deferring to established experts or following conventional wisdom about what's coming next. But the most valuable foresight comes when you bring your unique context, experience, and viewpoint to the process. Think about it this way. No one else has your specific combination of knowledge, perspective, and challenges. No one else sees the world through exactly your lens. This means you can spot patterns and connections that others might miss, especially in your particular domain or industry. So here's my challenge. Start creating original foresight content, even if it's just for yourself initially. Write a scenario narrative for your industry 5 years from now. Create a blog documenting the weak signals you're noticing. Develop a presentation on how a specific SuperShift trademark might impact your organization. The act of creation forces clarity and deepens your mastery in ways that consumption alone never can. And who knows? Your unique perspective might generate insights that prove valuable not just to you, but to others in your field as well. Overcoming common obstacles. As you work to advance your foresight practice, you'll likely encounter some common challenges. Let's address a few of these and how to overcome them. I don't have time for regular foresight practice. Time constraints are real, but remember that effective foresight doesn't require hours of dedicated study. Even 15 to 20 minutes of intentional scanning a few times a week can make a significant difference. The key is integrating foresight into your existing routines rather than treating it as a separate activity. For example, reframe how you consume news or industry updates. Instead of just staying informed, consciously look for weak signals and emerging patterns. Use your commute or exercise time to reflect on implications or questions raised by what you're noticing. Small, consistent efforts add up over time. I struggle to make foresight relevant to current decisions. This is a common challenge, especially in organizations focused on short-term results. The bridge between future insights and current actions isn't always obvious. One effective approach is to use the futures present connection technique. For any future insight or scenario, ask, what early indicators of this future might we be seeing now? And what no-regrets moves could we make today that would be valuable regardless of which future emerges? These questions help translate long-term thinking into present-day action. I find it difficult to influence others with foresight insights. Foresight can sometimes feel abstract or speculative to those who aren't familiar with it. To increase your influence, focus on making futures tangible and relevant. Use concrete examples, vivid scenarios, and clear connections to current priorities. Remember that people engage with the future differently. Some respond to data and trends, others to stories and narratives, still others to tangible artifacts or visual representations. Adapt your approach based on who you're trying to influence. Final thoughts and looking ahead. As we wrap up today, remember that advancing your foresight practice isn't about perfectionism, it's about progress. Every step you take toward more consistent, integrated futures thinking strengthens your capability to navigate uncertainty and shape positive outcomes. The journey from foundational awareness to strategic transformation doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds through consistent practice, reflection, and application. The key is to keep moving forward, even if progress sometimes feels slow or uneven. In our next episode, we'll build on what we've discussed today by exploring how to integrate all the foresight tools and concepts into one cohesive system using the Spectrum Foresight Method trademark. We'll show you how to move from scanning to strategy with clarity and confidence, bringing together everything you've learned into a unified practice. Until then, I encourage you to reflect on where you currently are in your foresight journey and identify one specific practice that will help you advance to the next level. Remember, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Thank you for joining me. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.